Assalamu alaikum, dear family. At this time, could we please stand for prayer? In a manner in which you are most comfortable, follow along silently. Surely I am being turned to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright to he who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheists. Surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he in this am I commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King. There is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant, and I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. So grant me protection against all my faults, for none grants protection against faults with thee. And guide me into the best of morals, for none can guide into the best of morals but thee. And turn away from me the evil and the indecent morals, for none can turn from me the evil and the indecent morals but thee. And O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, as thou did make Abraham and the true followers of Abraham successful, for surely thou art praised and magnified. And O Allah, bless Muhammad, and bless the true followers of Muhammad, as thou did bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham, for surely thou art praised and magnified. Ameen. You may be seated. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, we give praise and thanks to Allah for his coming and appearing to us in the personage of Master W. Farad Muhammad, the long-awaited Messiah of the Christians and the Mahdi of the Muslims. We thank him for leaving his seat in paradise to come, seek and save that was worthy of saving from his vantage point, and that is the black man and woman in the hells of North America. First, but certainly all of fallen humanity. And we thank him for spending 3 years and 4 months among us, which was enough time for him to choose a man that he might be able to deposit his very mind into. And that man would not break, he wouldn't falter, nor would he leave his post. But he would stay the course, regardless of whom or what. And the man that I speak of in such an inglorious way is a man who was a Georgia-born black man, born in the rules of the South. Our history teaches us that he came up on the heels of slavery, which means that he knew what it was like to suffer, to have hard times and difficulty. The man that I speak of, he was born Elijah Poole, but because of the magnificent and wonderful work that he was doing in Black Bottom, Detroit, he became known as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. However, dear family, I did not meet Master Farad Muhammad, and I did not meet the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The man that is causing me to have a clearer view of who those two are, by removing the scales with truth. That is the dissolving solution of or to clear the scales off our mind's eye so that we can see them in a better light and the proper light. The man that I speak of that does that, he is bold, he's courageous. He is our champion, our leader, teacher, and guide, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It is in their names I greet you all once again, dear family, with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. How are we this morning, family? And for those who may not have heard that greeting before, that simply means peace be unto you. And as the Honorable Louis Farrakhan enumerates to us, he says, and who doesn't need peace in a war zone? Because America is a war zone as we speak. Sometimes the weapons are quiet. Yeah, the bombs explode. You don't hear them, you don't see them, but you see the casualties lying on the sidewalk. You see them walking down the street. You see it in the behavior of the people. Yes, the war is underway. Kind of like in the Matrix, you know, everybody thought everything was good, but they were really asleep, and the war was going on around them. They had not a clue until one came. And the one that we have in our midst today, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, is waking us up on every turn. Whenever he speaks, he's waking us up. However, before I go any further, let me just thank you all, dear family, for submitting to the check procedure, for I know that you have the right spirit, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be sitting in the seat right now. And all you needed was to have the good spirit and be your beautiful black self, and admittance to the house was permitted. So thank you for submitting to the check procedure, because the check procedure is very needed today. And as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad set it up for us, even back in the 1930s coming forward, he knew that a time would come where we couldn't abandon that process, because people come into the house sometimes and they have a smile on their face, but what's in their heart and in their mind is totally far removed. And if we don't check the spirit or the person that's coming in, we could have casualties right inside the house. So this is why we have the check procedure. I remember there was a song by James Brown. He said, I know you got soul, I know you got the right spirit, otherwise you wouldn't be in here. So thank you, dear family, for submitting to the check procedure. Is everybody all right? Yes, aren't you glad you woke up this morning? Thank Allah. Give thanks to God for letting you get up. I mean, we deserve to say that to him. We're applauding now, but we should have did it with our prayers. Should have woke up giving praise and thanks to the supreme sovereign Lord. Because as I stated a moment ago, we are in a war. Have you seen the weather? Have you checked the weather? No. Oh, come on now. There's a lot going on. And there's a reason for it. I want to read something. Well, let me just go to the Quran first. It's called Al-Asr, the time. It said, by the time surely man is in loss, except those who believe and do good and enjoin one another to truth and enjoin one another to patience. By the time surely man is in loss. And right now, everybody is in loss. So much so that the scripture says that if God were to destroy the earth right now, not one soul would remain on the earth. That's me and you wouldn't be here either. Each one of us, we'd be out of here. Why? Maybe we can say, well, I didn't do anything to anybody. Well, Jesus said it this way, that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So sometimes it's not what we do physically, but it's what we're thinking that could condemn us right then and there. Y'all all right? Yes, let's move on. I want to lift something from the book of Luke. And this deals with what we're talking about right now, the weather and what's taking place outside or all over the planet. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote a monumental book called, of course, The Fall of America, but it's a message to the black man as well. But listen to this reading in Luke, which will kind of point to some of the things we see going on right now. This is Luke, the 21st chapter, the 20th verse, starting there. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that desolation thereof is nigh or close. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. Did y'all know that we are under a travel ban, even as we speak, in the Nation of Islam? The minister told us, don't travel abroad. Luke is saying that, that's what it's saying right here. Don't travel abroad. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan laid down a decree. If you a follower of mine, then you don't leave the country right now. It's a dangerous time for you to do that. Because they're taking people who come from this country, they hold you hostage. They say, look, they analyze this, but wait a minute, you're on a plane, you bought a ticket, you're wearing clothes, you don't look hungry, you must have some money. I don't have it, so you might be a candidate for a kidnapping. Y'all all right? Real talk, real talk. Let me read on. It says, but woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be a great distress in the land, and wrath upon his people, or this people. So right now, our former captors, they're under judgment. But so are we. Because we're mixed in with them. We're sprinkled right in, and we're doing some of the same things that they're doing. Have we not justified in Allah doing to us, or God doing to us what he's doing to the enemy, because we're doing the same machinations that they are? We brought it on ourselves. Y'all all right? Yes, let's keep walking. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And this is the focal point of where I want us to go. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, and the sea and the waves roaring. I was on the road early yesterday morning, 76, and generally on Saturdays it's usually kind of light. Well, it was excessively light yesterday. You know why? Because, white folks like to go down to the shore on the weekend, right? Well, nobody going this week because Ophelia was kicking behind down there. The waves was 7 feet, 8 feet, 15 feet. You ain't going down there, and the winds were high, 30, 40 miles an hour or more? No, you ain't going down there. Everybody was in the house yesterday. A lot of us were too. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. Let's go on. And it says, men's hearts failing them from fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. I was watching the weather this morning, and they were talking about, the weatherman was talking about how Ophelia is somewhere between D.C. and Baltimore right now, and it's coming to Philadelphia. However, it's going to go out to sea, right? And Ophelia, for some reason, is going to come back. Wait a minute, hold up. We're talking about a storm, right? Now, let me explain something. In our lessons, the Supreme Wisdom, we asked a question. What makes rain, hail, and snow, and earthquakes? The Son of Man is the answer, experimenting on high explosives. So, if the storm is supposed to be an act of nature, but it's going out to the Atlantic Ocean, but it's going to turn around, come back into Philadelphia, and hang around all day Monday. Vanguard, MGT, FOI, we drill, right? Yes, sir. When the DI says left face, right face, we follow the close order drill. But sometimes we get the call and say, to the rear, march. Right. Well, Ophelia's got the call, she's doing a to the rear march. Somebody is doing that. This is not accidental. Yes. There's a man who's got control of this. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Master Fard Muhammad got the weather, and they got a man down here with us. All he got to do is make mention of it, and they follow through on the instructions. Y'all all right? This is real talk. I'm telling you, but we're not out of that equation. I remember they were talking about why, I was watching one of the weather channels, and they were talking about how storms, when they're over the plains or where trees and things are, they're not as strong. The intensity isn't that strong. But as soon as they get over a major metropolis, the storm intensifies. Because we give off a charge. We give off electricity. And as the storm gets over the major city, whatever's in the people, that energy goes up into the stratosphere and affects the storm. You can look it up. Just check it out. We got something to do with that. Everybody dissatisfied. Is it any accident that these storms are the way they are? And did you know for what they've done to us, that Allah is angry and he's sending the storms? See, these people don't understand anything unless you take their money from them. Every time one of these major storms show up and do the destruction that it's doing now, they said a tree fell yesterday on somebody's car. It was 150 years old. It's just snapped in half. Woman was in the car. Her baby didn't get hurt. I don't think she got hurt too bad. She got shooken up. But it cost an exorbitant amount of money to repair the damage because it breaks power lines. Then there was another one at a home where the power lines broke, and there was an underground gas leak that caused an explosion. You see how Allah works? They think that they're getting away from what they're doing to us with the crooked laws and denying us our freedoms, which they do covertly, but Allah is getting them back. I'm telling y'all, we're winning. We're not losing. We're winning on every account. If you just look at what the scriptures are saying, all praise belongs to Allah. Let's move on. I want to lift something from this monumental book, Message to the Black Man. This is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This is on page 273. America is falling. Her doom is sealed. I'm going to read that again. We can just work with that. America is falling. Her doom is sealed. And it says, I compare the fall of America with the fall of ancient Babylon. So from this point on, when you hear Babylon, just think baby London. America, right? Stick with me, walk with me. It says, her wickedness, sins is the same as the history shows of ancient Babylon. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pains. If so, she may be healed. That's Jeremiah 51st chapter, 81st verse. What are the sins of ancient Babylon? According to history, she was rich, she was proud, and her riches increased her corruption. Let me stop right there for a minute. I heard the former president, Donald Trump, he says, one of the reporters is questioning him, and they asked him, well, why don't you pay taxes? You know what his response was? He said, I got $7 billion. What I want to pay taxes for? See the arrogance? That's corruption within a person who has wealth and believe that their wealth is going to save them for what Almighty God Allah got lined up for them. Oh yeah, we all need money. In the book of Ecclesiastes, he says that, and money answereth all things. But, but we can't allow money. Money's not going to answer what we're going through on a spiritual and psychological level. It takes the will of God and his guidance to get us out of what we're going through in our minds. Sometimes you go to sleep at night and you wake up early in the morning, maybe just to go to the bathroom. But then you lay back down and you can't go to sleep. Some kind of thought comes up in your head and it just keeps you awake. You toss, you turn. You can't find a comfortable position. You know that's the best time to grab your book, the Quran, and start to read it. Feed on God's word and see don't that thing leave you. Or just say your prayers. I remember when I was in with that COVID, I found myself going through all of that, the prayers, the readings. I was singing the fight song, laying in the bed. We were fighting for Islam, and we will surely win. Because I wanted to win over that because I wasn't feeling good at all. Y'all know how it is, those who have been there. But I'm just saying we have to use everything in our spiritual toolbox when times get rough. But prayer is the best thing. And the Quran teaches us that obedience is better than sacrifice. Prayer is better than sleep. But the remembrance of Allah is the greatest force. So anytime we remember Allah, the answer to what we're going through is going to come. Sometimes it's maybe 500 seconds, 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Sometimes it might be a couple of days. But he's telling us, the Bible says that which God loves, he chastens much. Now, I remember my mama, our daddy used to tell us, we used to get whoopings. I'm doing it only because I love you. I didn't understand that. I didn't appreciate it either, but they kept doing it to me. Because they loved me. That's what they said, right? Well, God ain't no different. He keep us under something because we keep turning away from him, and the only way to get us back is to keep us under trial. Don't our prayers be serious when we under trial? And when we going through that thing we going through, them prayers are sincere. We don't play with it. I mean, it's like God is right there with us. God, look, let me talk to you. Let me drop this on you. Can I holler? And you drop it. And then all of a sudden, you feel yourself first psychologically, then spiritually, you come up out of it gradually. But the remembrance of Allah is the greatest force. Let's go on, family. It says, according to the history, she was rich, she was proud, and her riches increased her corruption. She had every merchandise that the nations wanted or demanded. Her ships carried her merchandise to ports of every nation. Sound like America? Yeah, of course it does. She was a drunkard. Stop right there. Did you know that during COVID, I guess alcohol could have been the gross national product? Because they said alcohol sales shot up. Now, isn't that odd? People will lean on some external agent to free them from the things that they're going through because they were locked down. Rather than calling on the supreme sovereign Lord, they leaned on alcohol. And alcohol, it helps temporarily, but after it wears down, you're right back in the same situation and you got to do more. So now you're turning into, not an alcoholic, turning into a drunk. They say alcoholics go to the meetings, right? Y'all all right? Yes, sir. But I'm saying, you know, when you're constantly doing this, you're never going to get the answer to your problem. You're creating a physical health problem that's going to cause you more problems down the road, and spiritually and psychologically, the same is taking place. Let's go on, family. Wine and strong drinks in her daily practice. She was filled with adultery and murder. Think that over. I remember the Honorable Louis Farrakhan was teaching he was talking about, you know, isn't it something that we live in a Christian society, but if I found out, or my wife found out I was cheating, and she went down to the police station and told the police, I found out my husband was cheating on me. They would literally laugh her out of the place, right? If I did it, they'd laugh me out. What do you mean, man? Come on, man. Everybody does that. Y'all with me? You see the kind of world that we're living in? It's turned upside down, inside out, and we are on the ship. This is a sinking ship. This is a burning house. And if we don't come and fall in with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, not only will we burn with the house, we're going to drown when the ship sinks. Kind of like the Titanic. Let's walk on, family. She was filled with adultery and murder. She persecuted and killed the people of God. She killed the saints and prophets of Allah God. Hate and filthiness, gambling, sports of every evil as you practice in America were practiced in Babylon. Only America is a modern and much worse. Ancient Babylon was destroyed by her neighboring nations. Right now, all the nations used to fear America, but now they hate her. Yeah, everybody does. Africa is kicking Americans out. They're tired of it. They're saying, look, we don't need your money no more. Sounds like something the Honorable Louis Farrakhan told them, the rabbis that came to his house when they gave him the conditions about, being their friend. And after they gave him the conditions, this is what he said to them. He says, one, you say you want to watch me for a protracted period of time and see how I act. He said, well, you have a history of doing more evil to us than we've ever done to you. He said, and you say that because of anyone who comes against the Jews, history doesn't remember them well. He says, well, if those are the conditions for which I have to be your friends, yours is a friendship I don't want. Yours is a friendship I don't need. All praise is due to Allah. See, that's why they don't like Farrakhan, and this is why they kill the people of God, because a man who's strong like that is contagious. All of a sudden, the people who listen to him, they start to respond the same way. So let's go back to Africa. They friends of Farrakhan, and right now, they're saying to them, I don't want your friendship no more. The hell with y'all. Get out. As a matter of fact, take all your stuff and leave now. You don't have a 2-week notice. I want you out now. And America is afraid because she see herself losing the power she used to have. She don't have the power today that she had last week. That's because of Allah. He's whooping her. He's taking everything she got rightfully because of what she's done to you and me. We should be happy, family. We should be up out of our seats, jumping up and down. And yeah, thank God we got a champion that's willing to fight for us, and he ain't no punk. He ain't gonna turn coat on us. He gonna stay the course. I warn you to let their destruction serve as a warning for America. This people has gone to the limit of doing evil. Let me stop there again. The ultimate evil. What about same-sex marriage? Come on. Did we ever think we would live to see a time where we would see this kind of machination going on? I remember, like you say, back in the day, you could see people who did that, who lived that kind of life. In the daytime, you could see dudes lifting refrigerators. Now, what they did at night, they had your deep freezer on their shoulder, put it in the back of a truck with no help. But at night, if he was doing that, he didn't try to pull you into it, and they certainly didn't bother little children. Now they're trying to put it in the educational system at kindergarten, and then they're doing it covertly. They can teach the stuff in school, and they don't tell the children, well, you don't have to tell your parents about it. What? Come out of her, my people. That's what we've been told. We better hear and obey. All praise is due to Allah. This people has gone to the limit of doing evil, and God dealt with that ancient people. Let me go back just for a minute. Don't you know that Sodom and Gomorrah, where that used to stand, right now, not even a blade of grass grows there. Because usually when there's a fire or something in nature, like these forest fires that we got going on, in about 6 months to a year, you'll see stuff coming back up. But nothing grows there. And this was several thousand years ago that took place, where God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah for her evils done. Not only were they same-sex dealers, they were wicked, they were murderers, they were robbers. Sound like America? Yeah, what do you think's coming here? Come on, let's go on, y'all. So, as God says, Son of man, when the land and people sinneth against me by trespassing grievously, then I will stretch out mine hand upon it, and will break the staff of bread thereof, and will send famine upon it, and will cut off man and beast from it. That's in the book of Ezekiel, 14th chapter, 13th verse. Have you noticed that it used to be a time you could go to the grocery store and you could, you spend $20, you might come out with, 4 or 5 bags, stuff. I'm just being honest with you. I was a little boy. I used to have to help carry them bags, and I used to say, stuff heavy. Today, you go in there with $20, you're lucky to come out with a stick of gum and a soda and no change. That's where we at, right? Because God's hand is on America's pocketbook. Because their bottom line, bar none, is money. And if you ever take the tour in D.C., in the dome of the White House, when you walk into the we call it the main hallway, you see in the dome, which they call medicine, is styled as a woman. In one hand, there's the caduceus. That's the symbol of medicine, where you have the two snakes going up the pole. But in the other hand, there's a bag of money. In other words, medicine was set up to make money. And how do we know that to be true? It was set up by John D. Rockefeller, a multinational banker, for the express purpose of making money. You ever wonder why you keep going to your doctor and all he do is change your medicine, but you ain't never getting well? No, it's about making money. There's no money in the cure. The money is in the treatment. I'm sorry, wrong word. Mistreatment. So they're going to mistreat you when you go. They say, well, what do you expect when you go to your doctor? Well, basically a hard way to go and a short time to get there. And that's what they do when they keep over-medicating us. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. Let's walk on, family. They say, we see with our own eyes, but the wicked Americans are too proud to confess that they see the bread of America gradually being cut off. Take a look at the Southwest and the Middle West. See the land of Allah God at work against modern Babylon, to break the whole staff of her bread for her evils done against his people, us, the so-called Negroes. Texas and Kansas were once two of the nation's proudest states. Kansas known for its wheat and Texas for its cattle, corn, cotton, and many other vegetables and fruit. Did you ever think that you would hear about the day that they was importing bananas from China? When in the Western Hemisphere, Cuba has the best bananas on the planet. But they don't want to deal with a nation of people who have color and who want to stay independent. They'll deal with people they already deal in business with and who are in debt. They are in debt too. They're trillions of dollars in debt with China. Another subject for another time. I'm going to cut it right there because our keynote speaker is here and he's going to come and bring us something. But dear family, before I depart the rostrum, let me just say, remember that when times get hard, call on Allah. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Prayer is better than sleep. And the remembrance of Allah is the greatest force. Thank you for this time you've allowed me to come. Let's bring to the rostrum at this time a hard-working soldier in the cause of Islam, our Delaware Valley Student Regional Minister, Rodney Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. All right. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, the one God, to whom praise is due, the Lord of the worlds, we thank him because he is the revealer and the author of all truth. Yes, sir. And we thank him for the prophets that he has sent that are the bearers of his truth. And so we make no distinction between the truth, so we make no distinction between his prophets. That's right. We thank Allah for Moses and the Torah, for Jesus and the gospel. And we thank him for Muhammad and the revelation of the Holy Quran. As a student of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad's life-giving message, I'm most grateful to Allah for his own intervention in our affairs and the divine person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. Most of the world does not know him or know of him. But we know of those that he produced. Every attempt to write out his servant would write him out. Right. So they made sure that every attempt by this world and its writers to write out his servant would fail. So we thank him for his servant, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Who, despite every means to diminish him and bury him, he was being exalted in the process. Yes, sir. Soon we'll come to understand that, because when a man is raised up above everything that comes against him, then what that man represents comes above everything that is against him. And so what we preach will come to bear in this civilization. In other words, we're not wasting our time. We thank the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We thank Master Fard Muhammad for the man today who shows us and demonstrates to us that we're not wasting our time. And despite every skillful enchanter, despite all of the powers of the present world and society, yet they could not stop these two men from producing their student, servant, and apostle, our leader, teacher, and guide today, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And we just don't know the real effort put forth by this nation generation after generation to crush black manhood. And then to see after all of that, the last man standing is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Praise be to Allah. So now all men have a chance at manhood. I don't mean a distorted view of manhood, not a revised edition of manhood, but the correct picture of manhood, because it's more than what's between your legs.
That's right. That's right.
It's more than some locker room idea of what we have of manhood. We're learning from a real man. If you haven't even begun to please God, you're nowhere near manhood. So I'm just eternally indebted for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Because with him, we have a chance. We started last week dealing with the subject matter presented first by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that we have to build a new society. We're not in a country where something like that is strange, because it is said that when John Adams and John Hancock and others came to Philadelphia to meet with a man that could help them with their grievances against the Crown of England, Benjamin Franklin, he asked them, "Do you have the demands with you?" And they reached in their folder and handed him, right in this city, to Ben Franklin. And when he read those demands, he said, "You'll never get these demands satisfied as an Englishman. The only way you can satisfy these demands is to build a new nation." So this country got started off with a revolutionary mindset. And all the while that they were doing that in 1776, we were slaves. And the society that came as a result of these men freeing themselves from the Crown of England, they fought against tyranny, they fought against oppression, they fought against the denial of representation. But the things that they fought for and against they done presented us with the same damn thing they were fighting.
Go ahead. Come on. Real talk.
So now we got a list of demands. It's called What the Muslims Want
Come on now. Go ahead.
and What the Muslims Believe. Now somebody said, well, I ain't no Muslim. I don't know anything about those demands. Whole world knows about them now.
That's right.
Because in 2015, with C-SPAN and everybody satelliting that all over the world, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan read the demand and asked the audience, do you agree with those demands?
Come on.
And it turned out all black people that were there in Washington said, we agree. These demands you never gonna get under the stars and stripes, right? The only way these demands can be satisfied is to build a new nation. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in his monumental book, Message to the Black Man, says, we must build a new society. This one is not working for us. You say, well, Brother Rodney Wade, I went to college, got a job, I'm making 6 figures, it's working for me. I can guarantee you that if you knew what a real black man was, you'll find out that he can't fit in a white formula. You need your own formula. You say, well, you know, my woman's glad with it. She's glad with the money. But we've fallen far short of real manhood. Because the society that we in has made sure of that no man would develop out of the formula that they have set up for us. This is why Louis Farrakhan is a source of trouble for this world. So we still on building a new society. I want to go to the book of Matthew, and I think I'm in the right, no, here it is. I want to go to the book of Matthew, because Jesus now is getting ready for his ministry. And he has already gone before John the Baptist. And John sees him and sees the greatness in him and pleads with him that he should be the one baptizing him. John saying, you should baptize me rather than me baptizing you. But Jesus says, so that the scripture will be fulfilled, that all things that God requires, that those requirements have been met, then you'll baptize me. The scriptures, unlike what we thought, are 25% history. And 75% of what you read in the Bible is dealing with the time that we're living in. John the Baptist had a different kind of ministry from the other ministers that were in the society of his time. The ministers held their services on the required day, traditional day, established in the society that they were in. Just like the society that we're in, usually Sunday is the day of worship. And Dr. Martin Luther King said 11 a.m. Sunday morning is the most segregated hour in America. Because even though they wrote of America one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all, when it's time to worship the one God, we're not together as one nation. Huh? We tried it, and Richard Allen and Absalom Jones were humiliated in the church. We tried to come together as one nation. And they came after Richard Allen and Absalom Jones, and so the other black people, they said, we don't want you sitting with us because we're not one. So Richard Allen and Absalom Jones called all the black people that were in the church to march out with them. And then they decided, well, if we're going to worship God and we can't do it with them, we'll get him up, but we're not going to give God up. So Richard Allen built a church for black folk. Right here in Philadelphia, it's the first of the churches built. By the time Emmanuel AME Church, Emmanuel, God is with us, you got to remember they started out with Denmark Vesey in their church. And Denmark Vesey had a plot to take over Charleston, South Carolina, because that was the port where all the slaves were being brought in. So he's figuring these are some unhappy campers on the ship, because they in chains down in the holds of the slave ships for over 3 months, sailing across the Atlantic. We ain't gonna have no problem getting them join us. So we got a ready-made army right on the ship. So they worked the plan out, and then one of us felt the need to protect the slave masters, so they went and alerted the slave masters about the plot, right? That's the history. And so they ended up killing Denmark Vesey and the rest of them that were in the plot. And so when that church was destroyed, they didn't know it was Denmark Vesey's son who was in charge of reconstructing that church. That church came up in the news recently because Dylan Roof went in there with 9 black people in the Bible study and murdered all of them inside that church. See, when they came after Denmark Vesey to kill all the plotters, trying to think of his name, it'll come to me, but the pastor of the church fled, remember? And Morris Brown. And Morris Brown got to Philadelphia. See, it's a church named after him right on 25th right there. But he got to Philadelphia safe, right? Just like, I'm trying to think of his name, was it Robert Brown? One man mailed himself to Philadelphia, right? Because the abolitionist was here. He got him some bread and water and stuff and put himself in the box. They put a stamp on it. United Partial. Bob Brown, and mailed himself to Philadelphia. We're desperate to get out of slavery. You know, as the years would progress, over 40 black churches would be bombed. Just to show you, you know, one nation under one God. But we're not treated like one in the nation with the one God. Well, why are you bringing all that up? Because when a black man talks about building a new society, if he can't demonstrate to you the need for the change, you won't undergo the change. There's a reason Elijah Muhammad said that. When they come to our demands and they see point number 4, we want our people in America whose parents or grandparents were descendants from slaves to be allowed to establish a separate state or territory of our own. Why y'all want to separate? They want to go straight to that one. This sounds like hate. You all want to separate from everybody. Let's go to 1, 2, 3.
Come on.
We want freedom.
Right.
We want a full and complete freedom.
Yes, sir.
We want justice, equal justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all. All means black and white,
That's right. That's right.
rich and poor.
Come on.
We want it equally applied to all, regardless of creed or class or color. So don't say we just want something for black people and don't want nothing for white folks.
Go ahead,
We want white folks to have whatever God wants them to have. Just leave us alone. And then we don't want no revenge. We ain't after nobody. If we chasing anything, it's our manhood today. And you can't get that without God. And Elijah Muhammad met with God. He is the closest mind to the living God that we got in these United States of America. And now that has happened with their servant, Louis Farrakhan.
Go ahead.
This man can take down anybody except God. That's why Farrakhan is still standing. We just have to take that one and let it alone, because I know you can't figure it out. We want equality of opportunity. Notice he didn't say we want equality with whites. Why? Because the word equality has in it the word quality. You ain't allowed to be equal with nobody unless you qualify to be equal. Well, the man that destroyed us can't qualify us. So what we want is the opportunity. Don't cut us off from the opportunity. We want equal membership in society with the best in civilized society. We don't want the subculture where you're just a gambler and a pimp, a gigolo and a hustler and a player, playing with women, playing with yourself, playing with manhood. It's gone out the window, and we redefining it, and we just hanging out on the street. We need a new civilization. Because in this one, not only are we unhappy with it, we're unhappy with ourselves in it. We're disappointed in ourselves in it. You can't blame Trump. The FBI threatened us. Get the book COINTELPRO. They put spies in the black church. J. Edgar Hoover made it known he was after Martin Luther King. He was after the Black Panther Party for self-defense. The Nation of Islam was at the top of the list. Every other black organization he went to disrupt it. Read the plan. And the theme was, because J. Edgar Hoover was a 33-degree Mason, and he knew the knowledge of the coming Messiah, he said to the FBI, we must stop the rise of a black Messiah. So we have to talk about how do we go about a new society. Last week I was telling you about the axiom that it is said all one have to know what type of society do you want. Once you know what type of society you want, that determines your educational system. That's the way you train people. That's the way you teach people so that you can produce the type of society you want. A racist society? Then racism got to be in the classroom. You want a predatory type of society? Then those predatory traits have to be in the classroom. You know, one of the biggest problems of children in school today is bullying.
Right.
And now that it's accelerated with social media, the suicide rate among young people is going up because of bullying. They call it cyberbullying. Pick on people, look for weaknesses, gang up on them, right? And the model for 100 years of lynching has never been one white man jumped on a black man,
Right.
beat him up, put a rope around his neck, and strung him up. It's always a gang of them against one. See, that's what happened down there in Alabama at that ship. They all came and jumped on one black man. And something just happened. Somebody was way out on the boat saying, look, they just jumping on the brother. He just jumped in the water. Swimming over there to get to them and say, no, we got to even this damn thing up. Everybody's talking about it. It went viral. By the time they equaled it up on the deck, you didn't see no white people beating up on no black men. You saw a lot of white people getting their behind kicked. And you saw 400 years of rage coming out of black men. They didn't even know where it came from. That's why we got to get a new society. We ain't going to do nothing but hurt each other because they haven't got better, you know. So look here what happened. Jesus got baptized, and the Spirit led him into the wilderness. And he was there to be taken up by Satan to be tempted. Because if you can't get past Satan's temptation, you got no business in the ministry. If Satan got you and you're in the ministry, you're guilty of pastoral malfeasance. Because he doesn't want you to look out for the people, he wants you to look out for his interests. So he goes on to tempt Jesus with things that will appeal to pride, vanity, an important sense of self above everybody else. Because the Quran teaches us at the root of Satan is he believes he's better. So when you have a satanic mind, you always think you're better than everybody else. Huh? And the beginning of devil is disappointment to find out you're not better. Once you find out you're not better, disappointment sets in. That's when the evil really starts. So after trying to get him to go his way, and he couldn't get Jesus to do it, here's the final attempt. Again, Satan taketh him up in a moment of time to an exceedingly high place. Who did I say took him up? Satan. So he'd know his way around. Yes, sir. Didn't say God took him up there. No, sir. Satan took him to this high place and showed him there all the kingdoms of the world. Watch this. And the glory of them. The glory of the kingdoms. And said unto Jesus, all these will I give unto thee if thou wilt just bow down and worship me. So we can see what the end game is that he's motivated by making you deviate from the path God got you on and distract you from the purpose that God brought you into existence. So Jesus rejected all the kingdoms and their glory. What does that mean? That means he rejected the entire society that Satan had crafted. When you look up the Greek definitions and all that for cosmos, the world, and everything, it talks about a beautiful arrangement. But underneath it is seething with evil and rivalries. So you got to admit, the white man have arranged this thing beautiful. We be saving up our money just to go to somewhere beautiful. It's in a brochure. People, you could talk about dying, going to heaven, and we're going to sing praises of people saving their money to find something right here on earth they can go to. Well, it says they got a special. You know, if I, you could go 7 days if you. And so the world is arranged, the scripture says, in a beatific way. I mean, the beauty of its arrangement and everything, but just because it looked good don't mean that it is. So Jesus said, I'm not going to be deceived by that. I'm going to make sure that I get blessed. I'm going to make sure that I get money, but ain't no glory going to the world. The glory's going to God. And you showing me resources, and I'm showing you the source. Because if God give it to you, the devil can't take it from you. But as long as you using him as your resource, then he's in charge of what we have. He can take your money. He can take your wealth. He can get you a title and then take it. But if God is the one that supplied you with what you have, you can't take it from him. So Jesus represents one man for sure who has rejected all that Satan has crafted in his society. And if he did that because what he gets for himself and his family comes only from God, then the devil that offered it and got rejected ain't got the power to take it from him. A very rich man told the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, you want something to drink, Minister Farrakhan? Milk, that's me. You want orange juice? That's me. You want a cool drink? You got liquor? That's me. Everything, we represent from our corporate structure that we have to talk about a little bit today, that we produce and control everything. And the minister looked at him and said, the Quran teaches us if a gnat came on your plate and took food from you and took a morsel of food, you ain't even got the power to call it back. That's right. That's right. So if the gnat won't bow down to you, what the hell do I look like bowing down to you? Huh? God is in control of the gnat. He'll swoop right down there on your little plate. You trying to eat your fried fish and everything. He get him a little sauce. And he keep moving. He said, keep it moving. That's right. You the man. You can't even call it back. But here we are bowing to somebody that the little bug won't even bow to. He can't even get them to obey, and he got us like trained seals. something's wrong with this picture. And you know what? You ain't going to come out of this. Just like we have to talk about, they said, you can't make no boy a man without him seeing a man.
That's right. That's right.
So it didn't matter how old we got in this civilization. Most of the time that we've been here, they still called you boy. I had to take a little time with that verse because I need us to think. These scriptures are not something thousands of years away. We live in this right now.
Right now. That's it, right?
There's another scripture, and Jesus says, "For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his soul?" And he says, "So what shall a man give in exchange for his soul?" You know what the soul is? It's the essence of your being. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us the essence of your being is the nature of the God that created you.
That's right.
What? Show me something, Gucci or Poochie bags or whatever, that's more valuable than the nature of your God in you.
That's right. That's right.
So, man, I ain't got to be concerned with that. I got money. You understand? I got a Benz outside or a Bentley, and you know, I got jewelry. I got my wife's in minks, every kind of coat she wants and everything. Yeah, you got all that, but is that a profit over your soul? You ever notice movies about the devil? He always wants the people's soul. You say, well, wait a minute. Where's yours? See, the minister taught us he lost it in the grafting process. Huh? By the time the grafting process was over, you was in the image, but no longer in the essence. So you can't build a new society until you successfully build a new man and woman. Huh? So let's go to the book of Exodus. Just very quickly to go through something because, you know, the minister was asked about that. How you going to build a new nation? Inside, he said, the same way new life comes. The life germ and the egg make the first cell of life in the womb of the woman. But the new thing comes in a pre-existing system. It don't come out of nowhere. Huh? There's already a system in place. What separates the new life that's developing inside of the host life is the placenta. So the placenta for us is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us. Department of Supreme Wisdom. Huh? Those 6 lessons, the things that he taught us as he pulled out of the formula that God gave him, Elijah Muhammad produced a body of knowledge. We're feeding from that knowledge. And we're doing our best not to be affected by the civilization or the society that we in, so God can use us for the building of a new one. Once at the table, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, I won't rest till I have us all calling each other brother and sister.
Come on. Come on.
Now, for you today, it looked like that was an easy thing for him to do. But see, you wasn't back in the 30s and 40s and even in the 60s. How you doing, my sister? We don't have the same mother. That's what we got. Huh? My brother, you know. No, I didn't see you this morning when I woke up. You ain't living. How we brothers? And since Barack Obama, who Sister Ava said, just study him. He moves like an FOI. He's riding in the thing and everything. And since Barack Obama, the old Caucasian handshake is out. You notice how everybody handshake and they hug with it? See, that comes from the FOI. No one was doing that in America besides members of the Fruit of Islam. And we would take the hand and then we come together and, you know. So even though we were met with a lot of pushback on calling each other brother and sister, people who aren't even in the nation use this terminology. Am I right about it now? In the book of Exodus, we need to go through the fear of Pharaoh. Now, you got to remember, Pharaoh is the most powerful man in this ancient Egyptian picture. And his fear, as the most powerful man, his fear is the weakest people in that civilization. You know, sometimes you don't understand why somebody's doing this to you. Why do they hate us so? I hear people asking that question every time we coming across a crisis out here and everything, because behind it, there's a fear. Look at Pharaoh. Now there arose a new king in Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Now he the man in charge of the land. But he's looking at them saying, not only have they increased in number, but they are mightier than we. And this has caused him great trouble. That means there was a time when the numbers weren't that big. And that means there was a time when they had not been that mighty and that strong. But now the numbers have increased. Some of the translations say they have increased in number. If they all vote, they could vote me out. They have increased in number. And they're mightier than we. Come, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth out a war, they will join with our enemies and fight against us. He's expressing a real fear now. He's meeting with his cabinet. God calls them magicians, right? Because a magician is a man and woman, they're involved in the systematic study of tricks, how to trick people. You go see a magician and he takes a hat, he shows it to you, nothing in it. He do something and he pull a rabbit out. Now you know that the rabbit wasn't in there, right? But what you can't figure out, how did he trick me? See, it's a systematic study of tricks. He put a handkerchief over and all of a sudden the hand is gone. And, you know, just different things. You know it ain't real. But you're saying, how did he trick me? Because that's what magicians do. They show magic tricks. We have been tricked over 400 years. So he said, we're going to deal wisely with them, and because they liable to fight an enemy of ours. Therefore, did they set over them, watch this, taskmasters. Why you put taskmasters over them? What's a taskmaster? The IRS, the FBI, the police department, the government. Because in truth, in the Red Sea, God didn't drown the Egyptians. God killed the government. It was Pharaoh's army. He was commander-in-chief of the army. God killed the government in the Red Sea. He didn't kill the other people. They back at home. Come on, y'all got to think with me now. Look. The taskmasters, we put over them to afflict them with burdens. Watch this. And the more they were afflicted, the more they multiplied, and the Egyptian Pharaoh was grieved because of these children of Israel. He said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We must make them serve with rigor. That means you giving your all, but you still ain't getting nowhere. You ever seen a hamster wheel? The animal can tire out and never gone anywhere. That's how we are. We tired. How you doing? Oh, I'm tired. One old man said, look, yesterday's punishment is today's goals. What was the punishment when you was young? Go to bed early. Huh? Punishment, can't go to the party. Right? Punishment, stay home. By the time you get older in this civilization, 9 o'clock is the new midnight. There at 9. Come on, somebody. Right? Well, I was going to the party, but I'm tired. I'll get the next one. I'm going to just stay home, enjoy myself right here. I turn on Law and Order. Oh, man. So watch this. They made their lives bitter. That's why we got an attitude, a bad attitude in the hood. You be sitting at the light, so many people looking at a text or something now, the light turned green. Bum, 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 Now the road rage is killing folks. We got attitude, man. Because life been made bitter for us. Just look at the steps he's taken. Then what we want to do, because this was what really makes life bitter, we want to make hard bondage in mortar and in brick in all manner of service. Let them make brick with no straw. In other words, let them try to make a living out of nothing. A check that looks like somebody played a joke on you when you get it. And with inflation up, the brick with no straw means you're trying to make a living out of nothing now, because what should be strong has gotten weaker. The nickel could get a candy bar that today costs $1.49. Now you can't give a child a nickel. Here, take this and go down to the store and get you something. The child look at you like you're playing a joke. I don't even know if $1 gets something down there. The purchasing power of the dollar is gone. See, The brick ain't got no straw in it now. And you need a whole lot of bricks to do what $5 used to do back in 1960. So with this said, so let's just break this down a minute. The first thing that happened is, if black people want to find in history something that relates to our situation, because you know people try to compare their stuff to us. Well, you know, my folks moved here from Ireland. You know, we came from this country and that, and we didn't have much or anything in that. But, you know, their situation is not a match for ours. And you can major in history, and no history book will address what has happened to us in the United States of America. There's no history book that's in the school. They're arguing right now, talking about banning books. Hell, we've been banned. But when you come to the book of Exodus, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, you get congruency. You can find a match for what happened to us in these United States of America right in this Bible. We increased in numbers. What does that mean? Today they said the population profile is changing. White numbers are diminishing. People of color are increasing. This has caused great consternation and fear in white America. So finally somebody run for office saying, I want to make America great again. All of us agree that means white again. Usually, you being indicted means your campaign is over. This man got 91 cases on him. You ain't got nobody in Philadelphia with that many cases. Still walking the street. 91 cases, and he's still at the top. The other people who ain't got no criminal record can't even beat him. Why is he at the top? Because he understands what Pharaoh understood. We increasing in numbers. And we're growing mightier in the land where we were made here to be weak. The population profile is changing.
Yes, sir. Come on, brother.
In 1865, at the end of slavery, there were 4 million black people. There's nearly 50 million of us now. We've multiplied in the land. They didn't go get some other people to add that. We had them babies right here. We had them babies through slavery, Jim Crow, 100 years of lynching, redlining, name the crime. Even today with gentrification, you can't stop the birth rate. So Pharaoh today, modern day Pharaoh, is saying they're increasing in numbers. Well, they might join on to an enemy of ours. Did you know in America they were watching what was affecting black people? In 1965, a man who ended up becoming a senator in New York for 4 terms, Daniel Patrick Moynihan, came out with a controversial thing. It was the most controversial document in the 20th century, dealing with the black family. He summarized the report saying the civil rights movement will never put black America on par economically with the people who formerly enslaved them. He summarized the report saying at the root of the black man and woman's problem in America, he wrote this in 65, he got a lot of pushback on it too. He said at the root is the dysfunction of the black family. He didn't study who broke up the black family. He just studied that it was broken up. almost suggesting that we did it ourselves. So here's Pharaoh saying they may join on to an enemy beyond us. So in the Moynihan report, they said, have you noticed how way over in India, India has freed itself from being a colony of Great Britain because of Mahatma Gandhi and that big movement? Have you watched this Baptist preacher in the South, Martin Luther King? He may have been a Baptist, but he was listening to a Hindu and how he did it. And he done come up with the same movement. Dr. King even went to India. He describes his tour in the country, though he never met Gandhi, but he read of Gandhi and what Gandhi was able to do with no guns to free themselves from Britain. That's why India is an independent nation now. When they move over here, they buying up all the Dunkin' Donuts. Come on now. They didn't come here to work no job. So the Moynihan report says the black movement in America now is taking on international complications for us. In other words, we were reaching out beyond America to find ways to struggle inside of America. And Dr. King reached out to a Hindu. You got black people don't want to talk to somebody because they Muslims. But Dr. King reached out to a Hindu to find an application that he could use inside of America called the Nonviolent Direct Action Movement. And he was able to get some traction with that. They said there's another element in black America that's taken on some of the characteristics that we see emerging in Africa, because in the 1950s, Jomo Kenyatta and the Mau Mau. You see some old movies with Sidney Poitier and they're playing in that movie, but the Mau Mau killed 1 million Kenyans before they killed the first European, because they had to kill many of their own who had become just like the enemy. That was affecting black America, so there were some elements that wouldn't march with King, but they said, we'll march when you're ready to get some guns and stuff, and we're ready to do what we see the Mau Mau doing. All I'm trying to get you to see is we're looking beyond America's shore. See, the white man wanted to domesticate us. That's why they went after Jesse Jackson when Andy Young met with the Palestinians, and then Israel and all them wanted Andy Young out of office. They pressured Jimmy Carter to kick Andy Young out. Jesse Jackson stood up and said, if Mossad was spying on him in New York, they're in violation of international law. They don't like to be criticized. So they went after Reverend Jackson. By 1983, Reverend Jackson decided he wanted to run for president. He came to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to ask him, would you help me? Just like John was talking to Jesus and took Jesus and dunked him in the water. Farrakhan had never voted in his life. He wasn't going to even entertain this society's political system. His mind is on a new world. But Reverend Jackson, in a monumental move, got Farrakhan to go to register to vote. And they went downtown to do it at City Hall in Chicago. Believe it or not, that was a baptism. Because John the Baptist didn't have a regular ministry and Jesse Jackson didn't have one. all the churches in Chicago met on Sunday, but Jesse met on Saturdays. That way the people that was in church on Sunday could come to push on Saturday. Many of the preachers who were in their pulpits on Sunday, they were at push on Saturdays. Jesse expanded push to bring in other ethnic groups, and it became the Rainbow Coalition. Go and look at John the Baptist's ministry, and you'll see people that were Jews were there, some that were Gentiles were there, Samaritans were there. John the Baptist had a rainbow coalition. So the minister said, like John baptized Jesus, Jesse baptized me in the muddy waters of this world's politics. And he went on the road to help Reverend Jackson. Remember, and they took out a full-page ad to make you think all the Jews were against Jesse, but they weren't. But it was a group of them. They took out a full-page ad in the New York Times, said Jews against Jesse. Remember, they bombed one of his campaign offices. They was threatening him and his family the whole time. There was no security around Reverend Jackson and his family, so the minister came to the FOI to ask us, would we help? And we did. And the FOI did such an effective job, it embarrassed the Secret Service. Finally, Ronald Reagan and the White House, they had to do something because they didn't want the whole country looking at the FOI taking Reverend Jackson everywhere and securing his family. Y'all just don't know this history. And so, 1984, I'm standing on the corner of the stage. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan appeals to the members of the Jewish community, let's dialogue. We don't need these threats against that. Did you know 100 white men were in jail for making serious threats on Reverend Jackson's life? That's about 1984. 100 of them were in jail because they were stirring up white America against this movement. And then when the minister said, but see, black America is tired of you killing their leaders. And he said, if you harm this brother, and he's running for president, this probably be the last one you harm. And the Jews didn't like that. Remember, Nathaniel Perlmutter came out and said Farrakhan is a black Hitler. Right. See, black people looked at that and said, why is Farrakhan fighting the Jews? Man, he's fighting back. You ever seen a fight in the playground in school? You just see people crying, you say, who's fighting? You don't know who started it. Right. You just see two people fighting. That's what you see when you see the ADL and all that coming against the minister and he's standing up against them. That's right. He didn't start the fight because a Muslim never can be the aggressor. Allah don't even give you a clause to say you can be the aggressor if this is that. No, never be the aggressor. But fight with those that fight with you. And that's what he's doing. They just found one that they can't beat down. They found one they can't break. And they used to have damn nearly the whole world with them when they would condemn Louis Farrakhan. They had so many of them, they went to the Senate. And 95 senators voted to condemn Louis Farrakhan. Cable news, 24-hour news was just starting. Right. Sandy Friedman had the minister on the program before the whole country and said, I'm holding something, and she's shaking. We just got something from the Senate, Minister Farrakhan, that 95 members of the Senate have voted to condemn you. He said, that thing ain't worth the paper it's written on. She said, but this is the Senate. He said 2,000 years ago, the Senate condemned Jesus Christ. Today you worship him. If you condemn Farrakhan today, what will you do for me tomorrow? Oh. They saw China, and the Chinese people were tired of getting kicked around. Mao Zedong came to power, shut China down. In the West, they call it Red China, right? Moynihan is saying the Chinese Revolution is affecting Black America. Why? Because the way the Chinese were treated in this country was pretty much the way we were treated. They haven't always had the Chinese stores all set up and everything. But when they shut down, they didn't allow no white folks in. And I told you last week what he had to do to make the society right? Because the opium and everything, they were doping up the men. So he said, you got 2 years to get off drugs. 2 years to stop selling drugs. Remember all the Chinese they killed? They killed every dope dealer they had. They killed every addict who didn't get in the program to get reformed they had. And then they started with what was left. And look at they are superpower now. So the taskmasters that they put over us, the different agencies and people that harass us and stay over us, and if they can bring you into the welfare system and everything, you know how many forms you got to fill out? I get tired of them sending things. There's a program from Harrisburg. You can get this. You can qualify for that. But you try to qualify for it, and then they got 1,000 forms for you to. Yeah. So the Moynihan Report of 1965 is showing that we were looking internationally, and we were affected by what was happening around the world. And that's why during the time that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was speaking and Minister Malcolm X was speaking, they both said you should have a world perspective. Because when you don't have a world perspective, you think the whole world and civilization is right here in this 6,000 square mile area called America. America is 6% of the Earth's population. 94% of the people on Earth live outside of America. So Pharaoh saying they may join an enemy. And the last thing that happened was Moses came up in this civilization. You know, when God is going to use you, sometimes you spend the better part of your life with God preparing you for what he intends to use you for. So it was with Moses. 2/3 of Moses' life was just preparation. He didn't even go before Pharaoh. What he did when he went before Pharaoh and the delivery of the children of Israel, that was only 1/3 of his life. 2/3 of it, he was in preparation. And we have to talk about Pharaoh's plan, because Pharaoh's plan is not let us destroy black men. Pharaoh's plan is he set up those midwives. We don't want to destroy black men. We want to destroy black boys so they never become men. So the conspiracy never was against black men. Get them while they're boys. And destroy them while they're boys. And you study the present civilization that we live in, black boys are destroyed by 4th grade. The poorest black women under some of the most compromising circumstances still give birth to geniuses. And that mother know her baby's a genius. She can see things around the house that there's great promise in the child, but by the 4th grade, they start telling you how your child is deficient. By 4th grade, they start telling you your child's inadequate. And they found that there's a system going on that by 4th grade, darn nearly every black child is in special education. And what they do is if they can start there, you'll never build the man and the woman that you need for a new society. We know they couldn't change. They may have called it New Jersey, but they act just like old Jersey. They called it New York, but it's just like old York. Because they didn't have an educational system that could make them new. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us, God is the teacher here. And all things in the book of Isaiah said can be made new. Yes, sir. But the approach got to be new. You can't make a man in a neighborhood full of pimps, hustlers, alcoholics, addicts. Well, I'm going to move my baby away from here and that. You can't make a real black man studying from white men. He's not the model of a man, not a real man. Huh? So we don't have time to go into all of the little things that we do wrong, but suffice it to say that what happened to us in slavery, and even during the period of Jim Crow, out of love, black women tried to protect their young male children. If he sounded too feisty, like, I don't like what they're doing. Well, you got to remember, during slavery, they would take one of us and sacrifice us in front of everybody to scare everybody back. So if you didn't want that to happen to your child, as soon as your child started saying, you know, when I'm growing up in the 60s and 70s, man, if you said something about, you know, Jesus ain't white or something, you get slapped by the grandmother. Come on. Don't you be coming in here talking that black stuff. Huh? You know, it's coupled with fear for you and us not knowing the real history. Right. Now they talk about it. Right. The woman, Megyn Kelly, who was on Fox News, said, but everybody knows Jesus is white. Everybody attacked her. Even the white folks attacked her. Look, we've been through that. Everybody know Jesus wasn't white now. Did you all see that from Fox News? So she thought everybody was still on that page. That's been over. And as Minister Farrakhan say, we wouldn't care if he was white. If he's as righteous as this book says he is, we've already learned how to submit to white people. We can submit to a white Jesus that's going to be fair with us. But the history shows that you changed his color. So the black woman is set up to raise her daughter and love her son. Teach that girl everything that she needs to do. Because too often the black woman is left on her own in this civilization, so she got to teach her lessons in that to try to protect her. But she'll love the son, and the love of the son can get corrupted. Now you don't want to be hard on him, so don't make him empty the garbage. That'd be hard on him. You making him do the yard and everything, You ain't letting him go outside till he does that. That's a little hard on him, you know. He needs to be understood and everything. So now the man is being made weaker. And that's why the minister said, the white man looks at the black woman and said, come, let us make man. I want you to partner with me and we'll work on the black man. They're working on him all right. Yeah. And by the time they're finished with it, we don't look and celebrate being an engineer. We're just trying to get to it, but the way we've been socialized, we're coming up in school, you call a sissy or something if you're doing all your work. You acing all the tests and you working, you know, so we look at sports, gang banging, because the macho thing, and we're using these as yardsticks for manhood. Right. Yep. And it's proven wrong as we come out because we mistreat women. And what happens is young men are given more latitude for promiscuity. Right. Well, they're just boys. You know, boys will be boys. Yeah, but that's some other woman's daughter getting pregnant. See, I had a rule in the house. The boys coming up, I said, if you get somebody pregnant, you better let us know. So we can go over to that house and let them know that we all gonna pitch in and try to take care of the child you made. Because we letting our children go out and make babies and then we blame them for walking away. All of us have walked away from our responsibility. Do you want a new society or you want to live in the same old society? Because if you want a new one, then you got to change. You got to be made new. Because you don't know how to make yourself new. By the time, we don't want nobody to be held on. Now today, somebody come out, they hear Minister Farrakhan, oh, that was a beautiful message. The minister say, maybe God was working with you. Come on, man. You can come on out. Where do I sign up? Where do I go next? Come on out. Since you a male, come right on out tomorrow night, Monday night. The men are out. Oh. Maybe I'll hear some more of that beautiful thing. You get out Monday night, fall in. Stomach in, chest out. Let me hear you shout. Huh? What happened? What happened from Sunday to Monday? Brother, don't do that. Stand over there and get checked first. You're going to have to get rid of all them tattoos. What's all these cuts in your head? Is that a signal or something? You talking to some, you know. What's happening? We're trying to build a new society. Huh? Well, brother, you didn't get back in touch with, well, see, what had happened was, no, brother, see, you could have texted right back. By the time you cornered, you pent up, you can't lie no more. Right. What we doing? We building a new society. We teaching you how to be honest. Right. I just didn't do it, brother. I just didn't do it. Next time I'll do it right, sir. Yes, sir. You know? Huh? We're trying to build a new society now. Well, you know, my mama she's not here.
Come on.
For the night, you listen to that captain, that lieutenant that's right there. Huh?
Yes, sir.
That's what I had to do.
Yes, sir.
Who you on the phone with? If we didn't have no cell phone, you can't go getting on the phone and stuff. It's Monday night. You got the drill. Oh man, I ain't down with no army and that, you know. And it don't change. Monday night stay the same. And pretty soon, you see yourself, you're coming in, you're expecting to hear that loud voice.
Come on.
All in! Ooh. Jumped the first time I heard it. Where you been, brother? You're 5 minutes late. Minister Farrakhan gave us an example. He said he got to the Sunday meeting late. They told him, well, brother, you're late. Brother Lewis, you're late. He had to turn around going back home. They didn't let him in the meeting. Why? He said, because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was teaching us how to be on time.
Yes, sir.
He know what this other man did to us, but he had to do something to us so he could begin to reverse that. Well, you know, that old girl I'm seeing in there, oh, who is she? You gonna marry her?
Come on. Come on.
Well, I don't know if I want to marry her or not. Then break that relationship off.
Come on. Come on.
We don't date around here. Unless you date with the intent of marrying somebody and taking responsibility for their life. We're building a new civilization, a new society. Yep. So this last part, I just want to talk about corporate America for a minute. The 14th Amendment, according to these folks, makes a corporation a person. So when you see all these emblems on television for Amazon and all that, Amazon is a person on the books. So if a corporation is a person, what kind of person is it? Everything that shows them to be insensitive, uncaring, predatory, and everything says that not only are they sociopaths, they're psychopaths. The United Auto Workers out there striking now. And corporations, by being a person, they're still able to come in and influence people to write laws that benefit them. So now you got the top 1% of the people who are holding almost 90% of the wealth in the country. And the rest of us are scratching for a living. In the 1950s, the chief executive officer of a corporation made 20 times the salary of one of the lowest workers in the firm. Today, it's 370. And all the time we talking about how bad things are getting and how worse things are getting, these people are increasing their salaries and making record profits and don't care about us.
Right.
And they have decided, well, what we got to do something with society. Watch some of the documentaries on corporations and how, you know, they have formed. Because even though they try to do something that's altruistic, it always clashes with making profits.
Right.
And the corporation now has gotten so sophisticated that they're real dangerous. They used to push for a market economy. But today, The society is the economy. And you and I are commodities now. Every day we get up, we entertain the corporate community. Whether it's toothpaste or the toothbrush or the mouthwash, the face rag, everything that we're getting it from the corporate community. Are you following? Yes, sir. And you work for the corporate community and you can barely make enough to stay afloat, but the people that are sitting at the top, these people are at the top of what they call the food chain. The corporation has fought to get ownership of a gene. And I don't know if you just saw the recent thing that they've done, but they've gotten permission from the Food Drug Administration. Tell you how we rewrite laws and make the government comply with them, where they can take a cell and they're growing a chicken from a cell out of a lab. So pretty soon when you in line to get the chicken sandwich with the hot sauce and everything, there ain't gonna be no chicken that ran around out here. And back in the 40s, there were thousands of food companies. Today it's only 35. So that means 35 people are sitting in a round table determining what we're gonna eat, how they gonna fix it and get it to us. That's dangerous. Thank God we live around the Amish and other farmers where we can, right in the city, you can go to the stand and get what you're gonna get. Yes, sir. Rather than going in these supermarkets as part of the corporate structure. And remember, the supermarket is lined up so that when you go in the door, you gotta go against the wall. That's the closest you're gonna get to natural food. That's where you can get your lettuce, a cucumber, a cabbage, some greens, or whatever. This is where you can go on this side and get the butter and milk and everything. But the more you come inside the store, the more you're dealing with processed food. Am I right about it now? See, we come in to the, they gave me a sheet as a FOI. And see, we got this definition of men like, you sit around, well, the sister's supposed to cook. You better learn how to cook. Where I see some of you all sitting around by yourself, you don't know how to make a pot of bean soup. You can't fry an egg or something. You better learn how to cook. We probably need to start a little cooking class. Make sure we know how to cook. You better come up with you go look at the life of Prophet Muhammad. He helped wash dishes, he helped cook and do things, and he led an army. And he preached Islam. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad cooked. When the sister gave the account of it, she said, he cooked, and then she said, but you cooked so much food. He said, do you know some other people? They invited all the neighbors over. He taught Islam. Huh? So the corporation has become too dangerous for us now. These are the people at the top of the food chain of civilization, and they finding ways to get rid of us. The COVID-19 virus began to reveal what they got in mind. Minister Malik Saeed, our regional minister on the West Coast, he showed us from the thing that the CDC was actually a vaccine company. We always thought it was just an independent government agency that was telling us what was best for us, but it turned out they're a vaccine company. So they were pushing for a vaccine that they rushed. They didn't do it the way they made other vaccines over a period of time so they could really study, is it helping? So not enough study went into that, but the desire for profits over the real health of the people. Said the problem in America is the unvaccinated, right? So a lot of people went and got vaccinated. Okay, but now they're telling you, well, you need another shot. Now they out here with another booster. Look like when you're doing that minute, say, well, wait a minute, let's stop for a minute. Let's find out what we've been doing. What have we been putting inside of people's bodies? Because we found out in Africa, nobody had AIDS, and all of a sudden, the countries that they wanted, everybody got AIDS, and you found out what preceded. All those people in Zimbabwe. You have to remember what the name was before they put it back in its ancient form. It was Rhodesia. Rhodesia is after Cecil Rhodes, who said we were a subhuman bunch. And the best thing for us is to be under white rule. They murdered millions of Africans. Come on now. And it was Jomo Kumo and it was Robert Mugabe. They were fighting against Ian Smith's regime over Rhodesia. And when they won, Robert Mugabe became its president, right? They hated him. And he changed the name back to its ancient name, Zimbabwe. And the UN had to put that on the record, and all of a sudden, everybody got AIDS. And come on. When Bill Clinton was president, and they said they wanted to get Osama bin Laden. They didn't go to Afghanistan, they went to the Sudan, right? And then they went to Libya. And in both places, did they bomb military installations? No. In both places, they bombed all the pharmacies. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Why? Because Gaddafi was saying if African children are to be vaccinated, we should be the ones making the vaccine. That's right. That's right. Not Europe. That's right. Not America. That's right. So they had to get rid of the pharmacies, and finally they got rid of Gaddafi. Now they're free to just murder on the planet. So I'm thankful to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because at the root of this is spiritual. And because it's spiritual, you need a spiritual teacher, somebody who knows how to sow spiritual seed in us. So we can grow into something that's new, that's different from the civilization that we're in. And just like Pharaoh was after the young people, this government is after the young people today. And you can see that the homicide rate in our community that's growing, more and more and more and more, it's younger people that's doing it. And you have to ask yourself, how do they see themselves that it's so easy to kill another one? Because however we see ourselves, if my manhood is in who I can take out, how many babies I can make, whether or not I'm the toughest man in prison. Used to be, man, I ain't going to prison. Man, no, I ain't getting locked up. But today, people don't give a damn about being locked up. See, so it's working, and the what's happening in the prison and what's happening on the street, for some of them, it's the same thing. So this man has control of the way we think. The president of, I think, it'll come to me. Sakuta Ray, but he said their method is always to season us in a process to dehumanize us. See, once I'm successfully dehumanized, it's easy for me to kill somebody else. I'm not telling you something I haven't lived. I can remember how easy it would be for me to just kill somebody else that we considered the enemy of our territory. And I told that story once about a man who was impersonating a police officer in our neighborhood. And when we found out he wasn't no real police, you would think we would call the police and report him. No. They came to my house. I went and got my hardware. I said, when he goes to arrest me, I'm going to blow his head right off. He kept walking behind me, but he wouldn't walk up on me to arrest me. So I got impatient. And I turned around and I tried to take him out there. I started firing away till I was out of bullets. Come on. He's shooting back. He went and got the police. No, I'm telling you the honest truth. And they said, that's him. And they came at me and they put the handcuffs on me and threw me on top of the car. And a woman came outside and said, that's the man that attacked my son. And they said, yeah, but he's reporting this guy now. And they get ready to put me in the car. And the woman said, how come you all didn't search him? Right. And the man started backing up. And they said, wait a minute, man, wait a minute. And they went in his pocket and had a gun and they was smoking. Come on. I didn't have nothing. Right. They took the handcuffs off me. We went to the police station to officially report him. And why I'm telling you this, because I'm telling you how you can live and buy into a mindset out there. Yes, sir. And they was going to put him in jail. We were trying to get him out of jail so we could kill him. Come on. That's how it is out there if you stay out there long enough. Go ahead, Muhammad. So don't think that what we're talking about is some fantasy that's in somebody's book. People living this out there right now, and they carrying out. You know, they go to a funeral because they found out you can take sheep. The way sheep are, a sheep goes right in and gets slaughtered. The sheep that's behind it don't even pull back. It walked right into the slaughter too. That's the way we are at a funeral. We go to the funeral, my man got shot up. You know, you put a bottle on him, you put some drugs on him or something or whatever that is, take with him. That's just how we think. And then go right back out there and do the same thing he was doing. Like it ain't gonna happen to you. It may not happen that day, but you stay out there, it's just a matter of time. Streets will take you down because it's a mindset out there. Once you stray from civilization, you live a jungle life. Jungle life is real colorful, but deadly. So you can go to the clubs, you can hang out here and everything. All these have become death traps now. And the way they've socialized us started in the classroom. Because we all had a chance as boys to get it right, but we didn't have the right stewards over our life. See? That's why I don't take nobody for granted that comes to the ranks, because you don't know what they've been through. And the minister, he didn't even carry guns. And he got to Chicago, and them white people was trying to mess over his life, because he didn't know about the Beverly area in Chicago. And they came there doing stuff and everything. The minister said he went and got some guns. And he went down to the police station and told them, I got guns now. He said that the next white boys that come over there, it won't be no secret who they are. Because they'll be laying right there.
Come on, Muhammad.
So there's no way out of this except a new way. People say, we want peace in the black community. The ministers say, you want peace, but you don't want the way of peace. If you don't accept the way to get to peace, you can't have it. Because sleep does that to us. While you sleep, you don't know what's going on around you. And the black community is sleeping, we're just not aware. So we say, child, it's a shame they doing all this shooting, but not one black man manufactures a gun. And nobody's asking, how did all of the guns get in the community? You mean to tell me you can ban books and can't ban guns?
Right. Teach, brother minister. Come on.
Yeah. So I close just reading from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in one of the demands, number 9. We want equal education. Watch this. But separate schools up to 16 for boys and 18 for girls. Why, Mr. Muhammad? Because the Quran teaches us the male is not like the female. They don't process things the same way. They're finding out now the side of the brain that women mostly develop from and the side of the brain men mostly develop from. We don't benefit each other in a co-ed situation in the earlier stages of our development. He goes on to say, on the condition that the girls be sent to women colleges and universities. Do you know that, I saw something where this man was saying, he told his daughter she had a skirt on that was almost just at her hip. And he was looking at her new cell phone and she said the cell phone was valuable to her, so she went immediately and got a cover for the new cell phone so it could be protected and everything. Said, are you more valuable than that cell phone? Why would you dress the cell phone up and you undress coming out in the public? You know why that is? Because women don't sit up and think to do that kind of thing. That's designed by men. And unfortunately, it ain't black men that design it. So Mr. Muhammad, he says we want women colleges and universities. Watch this. We want all black children educated, taught, and trained by their own teachers. Watch what he said. Under such schooling system, we believe we will make a better nation of people than the ones they making right now. The United States government should provide free all necessary textbooks and equipment, schools and college buildings. The Muslim teachers shall be left free to teach and train their people in the way of righteousness, decency, and self-respect. You can't have self-respect in a vacuum. The only way you get true self-respect, you have to learn who you are first. That's right. Then you know what to respect. And then you know what to expect of yourself. I'm over on 50th, I'm in West Philly. What is that school? Shoemaker. What is that? That's 52nd, 50th. But anyway, I'm in the school. It's all black children. I'm thinking I ain't even paying attention. I'm talking to the principal and the folks and everything. Then the bell rung and everybody was in their classes. When the bell rung again, before the students come out, all the teachers come out and stand at the door. I mean, almost every teacher down the hallway was a young white female. That's a cultural disconnect. This is why you see the woman that's running for mayor, she's saying we have to have people that are, for our schools, that are culturally competent. Culturally competent means if you're not black, you should know enough about blacks so that they're handled in the way they need to be handled to be educated. But it's probably impossible. And I was wondering, why so many young white females teaching in bad neighborhoods in all the cities and that? Then I found out their student loans are written off. Did you hear what I said? If they spend so many semesters or years down in these schools and stuff. So you see them there to get that stuff written off, because all these white people, they don't have enough money to pay off all them student loans. Man, I'm gonna go. But I thank you all for listening. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. Thank you all very much. And so before I go, Brother Joseph's going to close us out. I thank you all for being with us. We hope you'll come. We're going to be starting a series of talks on Wednesday nights. The national agenda will begin sometime next month. But I want to say to all the registered Muslims, be sure that you go back home or see the secretary before you leave about the obligatory charity. Many of us haven't given this month, and so we need to help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to keep everything up and running at our headquarters, okay? Yes, sir. All right, thank you all very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Keep that applause going, dear family, for our student regional minister, Rodney Muhammad. All praises due to Allah. Wonderful, wonderful lecture. Know we all got something out of it. But I have 3 questions before we go any further. How many first-timers do we have today? Anyone out for their first time, second time, by show of hands? All praise be to Allah. Good. 2 here. May I ask, who invited you out, dear sister? Your cousin? What's your name, sis? Robin. Sister Robin. Give them a round of applause. Praise be to Allah. Who invited you out, sis? Behind you. Sign behind Sister Robin. Lisa Diaz. Who did? Lisa Diaz. Lisa Diaz. Who invited you? Angelo, give him a round of applause. Brother Angelo, on post somewhere. And on this side, the brothers that had their hands up, starting with our brother back in the gold shirt. What's your name, sir? Abdul Rahim. Who invited you out, sir? Brother Wazir. There he is standing back there. Give him a round of applause. Who invited you, dear brother? Again, Brother Wazir. Batting 1,000. I thought I saw one more hand over here. One here. Yes, sir. Brother Josh. Brother Josh, give him a round of applause. Yes, sir, brother. Got another. Who we got, Brother Cap? Oh, what's your name, sis? Camille. And who invited you out, Sister Camille? Brother Jabril. Where he is, Brother Lieutenant Jabril. Give him a round of applause. All praise is due to Allah for those who are out there with their hooks in the fishing pond and bringing our people to the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Thank you all, everybody who invited someone out. Thank you all who came out. And my next question is, how many of us believe that what we heard today is true and good for our people and all of fallen humanity? Just by show of hands. All the hands are up. Praise be to Allah. And the third question in this trilogy is, since you've heard some of the truth, would you like to know more, and would you be willing to come forward and shake my hand on behalf of our student regional minister and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? Or if you don't want to shake my hand, we could do a fist pump, a high five, a low five, or however you want to do it. We could do that. Would you be willing to come forward and do that today? Just so that the rest of our beautiful family can see you up front? Come on up, soldier. Come on up. That's right. What's your name again, beloved?
My name Wazir.
Brother Wazir with Brother Wazir. All praises due to Allah. Give him a round of applause. Let me go to our sisters right quick.
Lisa.
Sister Lisa?
Yes.
Sister Lisa, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Sister Lisa's a soldier. She got my hand like, she fruit. No, go ahead. Praise be to Allah. Thank you, sis. And again, my dear sister. What's your name again?
Chanel.
Sister Chanel. Thank you for being here, Sister Chanel. See Sister Arlene, and she will take you further if you'd like that. Thank you. Back to my brother. What's your name again, brother? Abdul Rahim. Brother Abdul Rahim. Thank you for being here, Brother Abdul. Yes. See Brother Zebulon, he'll check with you. If you'd like to do that right now. If you'd like. Yes, sir. Thank you. Praise be to Allah. Give them all a round of applause, family. See you, Brother Garrett. Thank you, brother. Man, ain't it good when it's like a family reunion? Ain't it good when we see family come to the family reunion? We ain't seen them in a while. Ain't that good? That makes you feel good to see them. Man, I wish I had Eddie LaBerge to sing that right now. Family reunion, that's just a beautiful thing. So, dear family, we've gotten that part taken care of. So our next order of business is the charity. All the way down to 54321. If you have that now, as the receptacles are being passed, please at this time put in whatever you have. But before I go any further, let me just thank you all for being here today. And thank you for giving in the first act of charity that you could have given today, and that is of your time. Thank you for giving your time to come out and hear the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as represented to us by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his regional representative, Student Minister Rodney Muhammad. So, dear family, we're rolling on out. The receptacles are about to leave the area, and as they're doing that, we have a couple of announcements, and we'll go through those, and immediately thereafter, we will close with prayer. How y'all feeling? Y'all all right? Fine, sir. Wasn't that good? All that information that comes, I mean, come on. All praise is due to Allah. There's nowhere in America, and we can go to the schools with that you're going to get this kind of teaching. And all you had to do was just be your beautiful black self and have a good spirit. Man, we could do that all day, every day. Praise be to Allah. So our announcements, dear families, as we close out, we have the Staple Goods Program. You can complete your order online at noimoa.org or see Brother Sabir's email. And if you are not on the email list, see Brother Sabir. He's at the secretary's table downstairs. Give him your information, and you will be kept abreast of anything that goes on with the Staple Good Program. Also, make sure to register first, then complete your order. Contact Sister Gina, and I don't see her in the audience today. Contact Sister Gina with your questions or concerns. And the MGT and GCC Vanguard first annual showcase, talent showcase, will be Saturday, September the 30th. You got talent? Come on, I know you do. You do something. You play the violin, the piano, you sing. If you do that, this is a chance to show your stuff. You know, to be up, out, as we say, on Front Street and show the believing community and our family and friends that are coming in to what we can do. So Saturday, September the 30th, see the MGT Vanguard for tickets and pricing. And last but not least, on the menu for food items today, the MGT has bean soup available. There are pies and juices also. So stop at the table on the way out and fill your coffers with some of those wonderful, delectable items. And that will about do it, with the exception of the fact that tomorrow night at 7:30, to all the brothers who've never been out and you want to learn more about yourself, the FOI class is at 7:30 tomorrow evening. So come on out. If you've never been out before, you can go into the orientation class, learn more about the process of becoming a registered FOI. And then for all the brothers, y'all already know, I don't have to say it, be on time. And as Brother Rodney was talking about time, you know, my brother, he lives in Indianapolis and he plays with the orchestra. He's a musician. He also teaches it. But he said that the maestro told him once, he said, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're fired. Right, he just put it simple. So anyway, let's be on time. Let's be out for that. 7:30 tomorrow night for the FOI. And then on Wednesday, we have what's called the Civilized Man, or the Time and What Must Be Done. They're both co-related. Be out 7 o'clock on Wednesday, and our brother, Student Minister Rodney Muhammad, will bring a wonderful message on that. Then on Fridays at 1 o'clock, we have Jumu'ah prayer, the community prayer, where the family that prays together stays together. So come out on 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon, be a part of Jumu'ah prayer service, and then later that evening at 7:30, we will have right here in the house in person self-improvement, the basis for community development. We have the in-person and we have the remote. And if you want the remote, you just go to study.noi.org and you can get the assignment for the week and be prepared to join us by way of Zoom with the National Self-Improvement Study Course. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. Okay, that's Friday, and then Saturday morning, sisters, at 9 o'clock. If you want to come out and learn more about yourself, come to the MGT GCC training class for our sisters, and at 10 o'clock is the orientation. Is that right, Sister Kimberly? I'm on it this time. Praise be to Allah. So then, for the final recharging for the week, come right back here on Sunday, like today, and get some more of what you just got. Ain't more better? More better makes it more better. All right, y'all, that's it. So with that being said, that concludes our announcements. And as I said to you at the very inception, at the end of those, we will close with prayer. So if we could, stand for prayer.
Prayer time.
In a manner in which you are most comfortable, follow along silently. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the one God to whom all praise is due, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, Master of the day of judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we serve, and thee alone do we beseech for aid. O Allah, guide us on the straight path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, and not the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, and nor of those who go astray after hearing thy teaching. Say, He, Allah, is one. Allah is He upon whom we all depend. He neither begets, nor is He begotten, and there is none like Him. I bear witness that none deserves to be served or worshipped besides Allah, who appeared to us in the personage of Master W. Farad Muhammad. We're eternally grateful to Him for giving to us His wise choice in the messenger Messiah and the exalted and living Christ, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And to the two of them, if we lived 1,000 years, we can never thank them for the messianic figure that they produced and gave to us as a gift in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It is in their names we pray. Amen. Let's go in peace, family. Remember, we're never to be the aggressor, but if we are aggressed upon, we fight with those who fight with us. Assalamu alaikum.